Hi bloomers, welcome back again. So this is the last tutorial on this Bloom Ball Thursday, and this is the final review of the outfit. I'm actually wearing the outfit, but I will show you the outfit, like the video of it. So in this final video, I put the cutting, the sewing, and the review in the last video. So the last video consists of three things, which is cutting, sewing, and the review. I'm doing this because on my channel, I want transparency. I want to show you guys how to sew it. Certain times people see the pattern, you see how we draft the pattern, you see how we do the dress, and all of a sudden you see the dress, but you didn't see the process that went into making the dress. And every dress has different processes. So I was like, oh, why won't I show you the process of how I did the dress? So that's why it's a bit longer. So in this video, the sewing process is part of the cutting and the review. So see you in it, and I'm happy you guys stayed all the way. It's been a long video. I've divided the videos into different parts because I wanted you to grasp every part of that video, because every part is important and I didn't want to make it long and chunky. So I decided to split them into bits, and this is the last part. So this is the part 3. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, go back and watch it, and it comes from Bloom Ball Thursday, the inspiration. So this is from inspiration to outfit. So yay! I'm excited to see the outfit because I'm excited. I'm very happy I did this. Welcome to Blooming Moon by KMS, and I am your host, Dia. Mwah, kisses, loves, everything. This is the outfit. Okay, stand straight. Let people take a minute to take it all in. Take it all in. Just look at that. Take it all in. Whew. Hi. It turned out great. It really did. Hi bloomers. Welcome to the cotton edition or the cotton series of this tutorial. And I'm using this smart cloth from Mali. They are the originators of the mud cloth, the prints and the designs. And Mali is in West Africa. So this is the fabric I'm working with. I divided it. I decided to use 1 yard for purposes of this tutorial so I can move it around. See? So first of all, you'd have to look for where your grains are, where your line ends, where your bias is. So I've determined that this is where I want to cut it. This is how I want my fabric to look like when I'm done. This is the print I want on the sides. So this area would be my center front, because we are going to put this fabric on fold and cut. So this is my pattern. Remember, I put this on fold. So now this is 2. This is 1 and this is 2. And this is the front of the fabric. You always make sure that you can see the front of the fabric. The front is deeper than the back. So this is how I determine the front of my fabric. So when you buy your fabric and you're not too certain, when they're cutting it for you in the store, check so you can mark your front and your back before you get home. So I'm going ahead to place my pattern on my fabric. At this point, you also have to make sure you are checking for your allowances as well. This is where you put your allowance. So remember, I said I wasn't going to put allowance on the pattern yet. When I put my pattern on the fabric, I'll put an allowance on it. So I'm trying to make sure that first of all I align my center front pattern well. And I like to iron my fabric before I fold them, or I put them on I put the pattern on. I like to just iron it first so I can have that lay down effect. Initially, I just wanted to finish doing this and come and explain to you guys how I did it, but as let me just do it. Even though it would add a couple of minutes to the video, it's important for you to see how I am doing this process as well. So I'm not gatekeeping anything. So this is where we go. Remember, this is the back of the fabric. This is the back. So you can put your marks and everything on there. It doesn't matter because this is the back of the fabric, but just make sure you don't make it too dirty. But this is the back of the fabric. So as a beginner, you don't have to worry about the back of your fabric, because if you're going to put a lining inside, that should be good. But if you don't have, let's assume the fabric is not something that has lining inside, then you should make sure you use the invisible markers. There are fabric markers that are invincible, so they wipe off after you iron, so you can use that as well. Do you see? So I went on to mark my 0.5 for the bottom as well. I wanted to do this and come and explain, but I did it for you guys to see. I don't want to hide anything. So this is what I do. You mark, extend the lines, and then you mark 0.5 all through. When I get here, the top side here, I'll extend this. I'll mark 0.5 all through and I'll curve it, because remember it was a curve we used. So I'll mark 0.5 and I'll curve it. And then I will not cut my pattern out. Instead, I'll also put this here. Remember? That I also have to make sure that I'm leaving space here for this pattern as well. And then there should be space here for the side. So I'm going to just gently put this here. I can mark 0.5. I can mark 0.5. If I think it's too small, I move a bit. I wanted to also show the ends of with the curve, because I remember I only showed the straight line. So see, this is how I go about it. I don't want to skip a step and leave it to imagination. So I'm trying to do everything possible to include almost every step I did. I showed you this side, so I did the same for this side. Now I showed you this side. I always say it doesn't matter the number of pins you want to put in this work. Just make sure nothing is moving around. Your best bet is to put more pins. Trust me, it's just taking out pins. Because if you shift this pattern for whatever reason and it moves, you would still have your pattern in place. I brought it closer so you can see what I'm doing. I'm marking my 0.5 as well here. And just in case you don't know why, the 0.5 is for sewing allowance. When you are sewing, when you are joining the two fabrics together, you need a type of allowance to join them together. If not, you disrupt your pattern. That's why we add sewing allowance. Some people said sewing allowance can be as little as 0.25. Some people's sewing allowance can be as minimal as 0.5, which I have, and some can be as big as 1 inch. It doesn't matter. Everybody just does what they want to do when they get to put in allowance on the dress. As long as you remember what type of allowance you gave, that should be good for you. So I'm going ahead to put my 0.5, because if I join my yoke, I would make sure to join them on the 0.5 stretch. I usually don't like to mix up my allowances, so I just like to put 0.5 for everything. So even if I forget, I know it's 0.5. My sides are always 1 inch, and my hem is also always 1 inch. That's the bottom of the dress. It's always 1 inch. I like to give the borders, like the ends, 1 inch each, but the middles and the insides, I like to give them 0.5. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my fabric slowly as possible. Don't rush it. I'm going ahead to cut my side fronts. These are my side seams. Now we have these lines. These are my notches. So you notch it. This is where they join on both sides. So if you're wondering why I kept the lines, if you're wondering why I kept the line a bit longer, this is why. Now you notch this. See? There's a notch right there. And then there's one right here. So I finished cutting them out. Just look at that. See, this is the purpose of the notch. So when I'm stitching, I'm joining notches together. That's what you're doing when you're stitching. See, you're joining notches together. Just make sure when you fit the fabric, let them fit to notch like that. So when you finish, everything will be aligned nicely. That's why I always notch. It's important. I have laid my back on the fabric. Now I'm going to extend my line from the pattern to the fabric so I can get my notches. This side doesn't have allowance because I already put it in the pattern for the zip. As I said, I like to do my zip on the pattern. So I take the excesses out before I cut the pattern. So the back already has the zip. See, this is why this is here. So when I'm cutting this, I don't need to put another 0.5 inch here. No, I just need to cut it right on the pattern like that. That's why. My center back ends here, but I put my zip 1 inch here so I can adjust the back fold, because if not, it will be straight. And we all know that our back is not straight, it's slightly curved. So I try to do it on the pattern before I cut the pattern out. So the zip for the back, there is no allowance because the zip is the allowance. As I said, I don't like to hide anything. So I just went ahead to do the markings, the seam allowances, all on the sides and this side as well. This is the zip, so it didn't have a seam allowance, as I said. So I'm just going to cut it, but I just wanted you to take a moment to look at this is how it looks like when you finish it. If your seam allowances are 1 inch, it will just be wider, and if it's 0.25, it will just be smaller. But at the end of it, this is how you put your seam allowance on the pattern. So after this, we just go and cut. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the pattern should look like. This is for the front and this is for the back. And before I move on to sew, I would first let you know that I put this is an interface. I don't know how it's called in your country, but basically we just call it an interface. And this is a cloth interface, and one side sticks and then the other side is fabric. So this is the side that sticks to the fabric, and this is the side that you iron. So when you touch it, this side is smooth, this side is rough. You can see this side has a bit of shiny. This is the side that has the glue that sticks to the fabric, and it gives the fabric weight. So I'm going to add this as well, but I like to cut mine out like the way I cut the pattern. I don't like to waste it. Hi bloomers, this is the sewing part of this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead. This is when you can take your pattern off of your fabric and work on your fabric individually. So I'm going to go ahead and take the pattern off my fabric. I cut the lining as well. I didn't have a lining for my fabric, so I used a different color, but the whole point is I have a lining. Now I'm going to put my interfacing on both the fabric and the lining to give it stability, to give it weight. So I'm going to iron it. Remember to use steam iron to iron this so your interface can stick onto the fabric. This is fine. Make sure it doesn't leave air bubbles and anything inside. This is the back. So I'm going to pick it up, and this is what it looks like. You see, it is giving it weight, stability compared to before. Let me show you before. This is what before looks like. See, even this is 2. This is what before looks like. This is 1. See, and this is what after looks like. So you can see it gives it stability. That's why we do the interface. So I finished interfacing both fabric and lining. This is the center front and this is the side front each. So the side front comes in 2 pieces. So this is one and this is the second. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it waist to waist. See the notches that I was talking about? This is where the notches come in. So notch to notch, that's what I'm doing. Notch to notch, one point to another point. You add the notches together and voila, it becomes easy. So when you have spaces like this, when you're sewing, it goes like this. You don't sew it straight, you sew it curved like that. That's how you sew it. So when you have space like this, don't be bothered about it. as long as it's on the bad side. Or if you remember to put curves, remember that it's curved like that. It doesn't go straight. No, it's curved. So make sure you join them together so you can curve it. If there was no curve, do not curve it. If there was no curve, but if there was, you should. So when I'm sewing, I'll take my time and make sure they align together, and then you stitch it like that slowly whilst you don't stretch it too much, but stretch it out. And then this space is straight, so you see, straight. And then this is also straight, see? Then that's it. So this is how you pin it. I'm taking my time to show you how I do almost everything. Certain people sew in different ways. So I like to pin according to how I would sew. So if I put it on the machine, I'm going to sew like this. Somebody is going to pin like this. Some people do that. Whichever one you works for you is fine. I'm just trying to show you this is, and some people pin like this. They sew like this. Do you see? So wherever you pin, make sure you are sewing according to that side. If you pin like this, it means you are sewing from up to down. If you pin like this, you are sewing from down to up. And it's fine. No matter how you pin or no matter how you want to sew it, as long as they all meet each other nicely, it's fine. But I'm just saying that you don't pin like this and go and sew like this. That would confuse you. And sometimes when the sewing needle passes over some of these pins, they break. So not to break your machine needle, you have to pin in a way where you see what you are doing. So if you know that the needle is going to hit the pin, you can just take it out in time before you break your sewing needle. Because breaking your sewing needle is another stress, trust me. You don't want to go through. So this helps me know the direction of how I want to sew. When I know that direction, I pin according to that direction. So finished pinning. This is the front side and side joined together. So I'm going to my sewing machine. Before you start stitching, you should always make sure to check if your machine is working well. Try this out. Stitch we just made is nice. We can work with it. It starts to work. After every stitch, make sure you press. After ironing, look at how the fabric relaxes nicely. This is what I mean. When you anytime you sew one iron, it's important to sew an iron because it makes the fabric relax. It makes the work come out nicely as well. Look at this is my bust size. Just look at that. It makes it come out nicely. So I advise that as you're sewing, this is my bust curve, this is my under bust, you see the tightening. So I advise that anytime you are sewing, you iron along. Don't finish sewing everything and come and iron. No. When you stitch one, iron. It's taxing, yes, but at the end of the day, your work will look very nice. This is the back pattern, right? And I already said that the back had allowance on the pattern. The only side that had an allowance was the zip, so this is it. So I didn't need to add anything here. And I went on to put interfacing for both sides of the back. So this is the back and this is where the zip comes, and then I marked my zip because it's not straight. So I'm going to the machine and make a loose running stitch here because I would iron it and I would open it up and take that seam off because that's where we put the zip. As I iron to the ends, if there is bubbles or air, let it come out from the ends. I already set that in the front. That's the notch. I'm trying to notch it so I see my notches. That's my notch. Make sure you know the type of hands you have, because if you put a heavy hand on the notch, when you go inside, you'll cut the fabric. So make sure your hands is lighter so you don't cut the fabric. If you can't do that, so you see, that's the notch. This is what I would do if the same way we did the fabric. Just hold it up like that, notch it like that. So you see, if you can't do it like the way I did it, this one should be okay for you. That's it, and we are good to go. So this is the sides that's joined to the back. And as I said, if you make changes on your machine, put a waste fabric and try it out. This is what I meant. Look at that. This is not the type of stitch I want. Look. So I have to go back and change that stitch because this is not the type of stitch I'm trying to use. So finally we got the stitch that we wanted. It took me 2 minutes to figure out what stitch I was using. Finally. So this is the stitch I'm trying to go for. The first one, running stitch. That's what I'm going for. I'm not to iron it and then open it up. So I'm not reversing this stitch. So this is a straight running stitch. Back to the ironing board. I've opened my seam up. Made sure my iron is hot. Then I'm going in to press. See that steam? That steam makes the fabric relax. So this is how it's going to look. Look at that. This is what the zip is. This is the back. Nicely. And I just wanted to show you with the lining that if you didn't iron it, this is how it looks if you don't iron it. So see the difference? See how this is laying down flat? This is in. Look at how this has a raise up here. So it's always good to iron. That's all I'm trying to say. This is the fabric and this is the lining. So now when you look inside, this is how your dress would look like. Neat. Nice. See? One more emphasis again. This makes you see clearer. This fabric makes you see more. So look, this, let me bring it here so you can see. This is the one that's ironed. Clearly you can see that this is the one that's not ironed. See the difference? So when you iron, this is the type of difference I'm talking about. Ironed, not ironed. I have gone ahead to sit this down, pinned all around, and then the same for the back as well. This is the yoke for the front and back. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine, stitch all around with the running stitch so I can take the pins out and work with it. Again, I need to check that my machine is on loose stitch. Is that loose stitch? Yes. Running and loose. So now we can go ahead and stitch. I'm not using any measurement in particular because I still have my 0.5 to stitch. So this is not up to 0.5, it's like 0.25. So I'm still in range because if I can't take this out because of the net, I'll destroy the net. So I'm not trying to sew up to 0.5. So this is 0.25, 0.3 or 1.8, but not up to 0.5 because I'm not trying to take this stitch out. I can't because I'll destroy the net if I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and join my yoke to my dress. So I'm doing lining and fabric and fabric. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to join it like this slowly. So when I join, it will be 0.5. Remember? So now this mark would be gone. Ouch. Make sure you join it according to the curve. Make sure you also keep your neck in place because when you raise it, maybe your neck can see the net has a fold here. Have you seen? So when you're pinning, you make sure your net is also in place. If not, before you finish, you realize that your net has folded, which will not give you a good finish at that side. So you also have to check for that. See? Better. I have gone around to stitch it 0.5 and I'm clipping it. So this is to allow the dress, so you have to make sure you're not clipping on your sewing. It makes your fabric lie down like ease, so your fabric is not stiff. So when you iron it, then you're good to go. So see, actually just cut it like this. You know what, let me just do it like how I always usually do it, so it can leave like that. So when you nip it, it gives it ease like that. If you're going to finish it with a serger, then you don't have to cut that place, you just have to serge it. But if you're going to use the lining, this should be good because my lining is going to cover it up, so I should be good. So I went ahead to join this is the back, I did the same thing for the front, remember? So I just went ahead to join it, and then I stitched it together. So this is how it looks like in the front. Then I did the same thing to the lining as well. It gets a little technical over here because I'm going to join front and back together. This is fabric to fabric, lining to lining, because I'm not serging it and I'm trying to finish it very neatly. So I'm joining the front and the back together, and then the lining is going to also go inside. So this is the shoulder slope to show the neck to shoulder, so that's the shoulder slope. It will be 0.5. Make sure that I mark it and then I stitch it. Then this place as well, the same thing on this side. So this is fabric to fabric and this is lining to lining. So when you open it, right side face each other. See how neat it is? So this is how what you see inside this. So this is it. This is how it will look. This is how it looks on the outside, and this is how it looks when you open the dress. This is how it should look like. So you see, everything is neat. It's finished nicely. So I have gone ahead to stitch this. I stitched it and ironed my seams out. Opened my seam, let it lie flat. See? Open the seam and iron it on the shoulder. Open it and let it lie flat right there. So this is how it looks. Here, look, it's flat. It's not bulky. Make sure you do the same thing to the lining, because people have tendency of saying, oh, the lining is inside, nothing happens. No, if the lining is bulky, it's going to be bulky on the fabric as well, even if you iron the fabric. So look, ironed it out, ironed at the sides too out, so it's flat. See? So before you go to the neckline, I decided to, or it's better to stitch the sides as well, because if you do the neckline, it's going to hinder you a little bit on the sides. So I have sewn the side. I sewed this exactly 1 inch as my seam allowance, but I sewed this 7/8, not exactly 1 inch. So if I put this inside, I have a little space to move, because if I sew it 1 inch, then that's tight. So I'm going to go forward and open up my seams, iron my seams out, and then now I could do the neckline. So this is how your neckline is going to be, like this. So when you finish, you have all the negative sides together, and then when you open it up, yay, you have the good sides. So bloomers, I have gone ahead to stitch the neckline. So now this is the neckline. This is how it looks like. I have stitched from one side to the other side. So I'm going to, sorry, make sure you don't go towards where the thread is. See, I have left a cup just a little to the thread. Don't touch the thread. If not, you're going to ruin your outfit. Do you see why I emphasized on ironing? Just look at that. So now here you have it nicely. Just look, it's ironed nicely. So I'm just going to attach the sleeve, the zip, the gathers, and we are done. So I just went ahead to do the sleeve. This is a different tutorial because I did some magic over here. So I'm going to make a full tutorial of the sleeve and post it. But for now, this is the sleeve we are going with. So I have an inner sleeve, which is a chantilly, and this is like a cover up because the chantilly would show when I put it on my skin. So this is how the sleeve looks like. It's more like a bell, but it's like, you see? I'm back. I'm tired. It's late at night. So I've gone on to join the sleeve. Do you see? This is what it looks like. So when I put the sleeve on like this, you see my skin is going to show. So this is the cover for the girls who like modesty. That's it. It's just a preference, trust me. It's nothing fancy. And let me move this thing. So this is what it looks like. I tried to put it on the side bed. This is what it looks like. I'm yet to join the bottom. So my goddess is going to be joined all round. It's going to start from here, this side of the center back. So let me show. This is how my back looks like. See? So the goddess is going to start from here, center back, and go all the way and end here, center back. So there is no break or stitch. It goes from one end and it meets the other. That's how the goddess is going to go. Okay, bloomers. So I've gone ahead to join my gathers. See, this is my center front and this is my back. So I've gone ahead to join my gathers. I'm about to join my zip and then the outfit is ready. The whole purpose of this entire board is to put your let your imaginations come to life. That's the whole purpose. So from all the inspiration we gathered, this is the final outfit, and I want you guys to try it out and also post and tag me. I want to see your results because this inspiration board goes a long way, especially when you're going to fashion school. You use them and all of that. So leave a comment, let me know how yours went, and I'll see you in the next episode of Bloom Bot Thursday.